Hello children, today our topic is Kingdom Animalia or it is Animal Kingdom. Now the last class we finished with the plant kingdom. We have done all the phylums. We know what are the salient features of every phylum. Now we will be proceeding to the animal kingdom, which is one of the largest kingdom among all the 5 kingdoms of Whittaker, and we shall see the details of every file. Clear? Now, what do we know? That when we say animals, we know that animals are eukaryotic and multicellular. So eukaryotic means they have a well-defined nucleus and a nucleus having a proper nuclear membrane and other membranous organelles present as well. And multicellular means having more than one cell. We also know that every animal has its own unique characteristics. So one animal is different from the other. Why? Because there are some characteristics which is specialized or which is found only in each organism, right? And there are certain criteria following which the animals are classified into different phylums. That means that when we are classifying the organisms or under animal kingdom into different phylums, we consider certain criteria depending on which the classification is done. Okay, so we will be seeing firstly those criteria and then we will get into the classification. So the criteria are symmetry, coelom, segmentation, skeleton and germ length. Now what are all these criteria? What do I mean by symmetry? What do I mean by coelom, segmentation and so on? So let us see by taking each criteria and find out how we are considering this to classify the animals into proper phylums. Okay, so we will start with the symmetry. Okay, so the first one is symmetry, and this symmetry, I think we all have learnt about symmetry in our mathematics. So this is very similar to the one we have learned in mathematics, but this symmetry is for biological organisms. So the arrangement of the body parts following a definite pattern. That means the way the body is arranged in a definite or in a proper pattern, that is known as symmetry. Now symmetry here are of 3 types. The first one is asymmetry. Okay, what is asymmetry? We'll see that. The second one is bilateral symmetry. That also we will go into details. And the third one is radial symmetry. So symmetry here is the first criteria following which animals are classified into different phylums. Symmetries are of 3 types: asymmetry, bilateral symmetry and radial symmetry. So now let us see what is asymmetry. Asymmetry: animals that grow in an irregular pattern shows asymmetry. That means any organism whose body cannot be divided into equal parts from any plane, they are known as asymmetrical animals. Example here is the sponges. The sponge is an animal and this shows asymmetry. Why? You can well understand from the diagram that, from the pictures, that if we try to divide the sponges with the help of a plane, the two planes will never be equal, right? So just because they do not have a regular pattern in their body, they show an irregular pattern, so we call it asymmetry. So sponges is one of the animals which is belonging to the phylum Porifera, and the organisms which are actually asymmetrical, they are placed in the phylum Porifera. So now we are seeing bilaterally symmetrical. That means animals with bilateral symmetry have a distinct right and a left half. That means whenever we are dividing an organism from the center such that the right half is similar to the left half, or the two halves form are identical to each other, then they are known as bilaterally symmetrical. So here they have shown the example of squirrel. So if we are dividing the squirrel from the middle with the help of one single plane, then the right half is similar to the left half. Similarly, here we are seeing a shrimp, where also we are trying to divide the shrimp from the middle with the help of a plane such that the right half is similar to the left half. So this, they are showing the example of bilateral symmetrical. And just because they are bilateral symmetrical, so they are placed in different phylums. Okay. Now, here they have mentioned a point which is known as cephalization. So animals which shows bilaterally symmetrical, they show cephalization. Cephalization means they always have a head and a brain. Okay, their anterior portions is well developed. So organisms which have a proper head, brain, their anterior part is developed, such organisms show bilaterally symmetrical. Clear? The third one is the radial symmetry. Now, what is the meaning of radial symmetry? When we are trying to cut the organism from many planes or along many planes such that every half is identical to the other. Here we can see this is an example of Hydra. See how many planes have been used? 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So they have just tried to cut the organism from 4 planes. And what do we see? From every plane, every half is just identical to the other. So this is seen in case of Hydra. So there are 3 types of symmetry. And depending on these 3 types, the organisms are classified into different